Monday, which means it's time for the weekend box office report brought to you by our friends at AMC Theatres. The wizarding world of Harry Potter is alive and well as the spin-off Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them debuted with $75 million for an easy #1 spot at the box office. Doctor Strange took the #2 spot with $17.67 million, just beating Dreamworks Trolls, which took the #3 spot with $17.5 million. Arrival landed in the #4 spot with $11.8 million, while Almost Christmas took the #5 spot with $7 million. Mark, thoughts on the weekend box office?
Fantastic Beasts did exactly what I expected to do, despite Ken Napzok's feelings on the film and my indifference towards it. I think $75 million is an appropriate number for a movie that takes place in a gigantic universe, but is an unknown property in and of itself to this point. What surprises me is that it took a week longer than we expected for Doctor Strange to have that typical comic book movie drop, where it finally dropped almost 60% because it held pretty strongly from its first week to its second week. I'm happy that Arrival's hanging in there too. I want to see Arrival keep doing this kind of business for a few more weeks because it's about to make its budget back just here domestically, and it's a movie that should be seen because it's a great conversation piece.
Yeah, I feel like I might have thought Fantastic Beast would have done a little bit more than it did, which is funny because we're actually at a point where we're like, 75 million, it's not, it's not that much, but I mean, it is a large amount of money.
That's Pitch Perfect 2 numbers,
right.
Come on.
But what really, it's not surprising to me, but it is disappointing to me that Edge of 17 was nowhere on the top 5, and Almost Christmas made $7 million, which means it made less than that. I don't actually know how much it made, but it is a bit disappointing because it was such a sweet movie that I feel like got buried under the huff and puff of Hufflepuff, and I mean, just everything's, all the big movies, the CGI, and I like seeing such a movie like that kind of breaks bounds and is that next generation coming of age story to get a little bit more love. So you should totally go see Edge of 17, folks.
Yeah, I think Fantastic Beasts kind of fit right in where you can expect it to fit in at this point. The real opening weekend box office number that I think Warner Brothers is concerned about when it comes to Fantastic Beasts was not the opening weekend box office of this movie. They're concerned about the opening weekend box office of the next movie. That's where really they're going to have their litmus test about how well they did. Did they recapture the Harry Potter fans? You're not going to know that until the next film comes out. Personally, I did enjoy it. I'm not a Potterhead. I enjoyed the last 4 Harry Potter movies. I wasn't all that big on the first 3. I know a lot of people think the third one is the best one of the series. Didn't quite work for me as well. But as somebody who's not a Potterhead, I was really pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed that film. I had a good time with it. I thought it was charming, and it kind of did the numbers that it was meant to do. But once again, the litmus test is going to be when the second film comes out. That's when we're really going to see, did the Potter universe get back on board with this franchise or not? So we're going to have to wait a couple years to see that. I am also very discouraged, unfortunately, but not surprised by the results of Edge of 17. I said on my social media the other day, it's still early, things could change because there's a lot of great movies still to come between now and December 31st. But as of right now, I'm having a hard time imagining that The Edge of 17 doesn't end up on my top 10 films of the year list. I loved this movie. I thought it was beautifully crafted. It's funny, it's engaging, it's emotional at the same time, and you believe the characters. Like, you believe the characters. If you haven't seen The Edge of 17 yet, and 99% chances you haven't seen it yet, go out and see it because you will treat yourself. So check that one out. So I was disappointed that it didn't do a little bit better than. I mean, it's only had a $9 million budget and made almost $5 million in its opening weekend. And Doctor Strange, dear heavens, it's only a sneeze away from 600 million worldwide already. So they're pretty happy about that over there. Anyway, Kenny, what do you think?
I'm not a Potterhead either, though I have waited in line for butterbeer, and my Patronus is a Gamorrean guard. But I'll tell you this. This is why studios do these big franchises, and they keep bringing stuff back, and they're going to build more and prequels and lore and everything, because the movie did good. And I know I'm not the only one who didn't like the movie, and you're not the only one who did like the movie. It's kind of a split decision, and I think you're right. Did it bring back the Potterhead fans? I went with one who, at the end of the movie, was screaming at the screen going, I can't believe that's horrible. I'm out. So
wow.
Some people, I mean, and I know you and Allison are on the same page, but again, this is why you as a studio executive go, yep, go picture to a big franchise because it's going to make you money.
Here's my question, is what is going to be the drop-off from week 1 to week 2? Because I think that's the big litmus test. Before the second Fantastic Beast comes out, is let's see what it does in this family-heavy weekend of Thanksgiving coming up when it does have to go up against Disney's Moana. Now, usually you would think, okay, that's going to be a littler kid is going to want to go see Moana versus maybe the teenagers who want to go see Fantastic Beast. The Rock is doing a voice of Moana, and that's going to draw a lot of people in. So Beast has some competition in Thanksgiving. And as far as the Edge of 17 goes, I would just caution people to remember that it only opened on 1,500 screens. So you hope that it has a hell or high water kind of vibe where as we get closer to Oscar season, the Edge of 17 can get mentioned in those conversations and it can hang around the theaters for a little bit.
Wendy, you had a chance. You actually watched Fantastic Beasts with us. And I know you're a major Potterhead. What did you think of Fantastic Beasts?
I liked it a lot. I was really happy to go back to the Wizarding World, and I also kind of like seeing how Newt interacted with the No-Maj. So it's something a little bit different, and the best part of the film for me was seeing all the Fantastic Beasts. That was probably my favorite part of the film, and I think in their spoiler reviews I gave it a 7.5 just because of some pacing issues. And
it does have some pacing issues.
Yeah, and some Grindelwald issue that personally I had some issues with, but that's about it.
Although I will say, you bring up an interesting point. We got a pretty good head-to-head confrontation coming with Fantastic Beasts and Moana. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I won't go into detail. Moana's better. I like Fantastic Beasts. Moana is a special little film, but I'm sure we'll talk about that on a forthcoming episode of Movie Talk.